A little girl named Mackenzie Elliott. She was 3 years old at the time when she was shot down by a stray bullet. She was playing on her porch. As often is the case in Baltimore City, there were two drug crews that were beefing over drug territory.
In 2015 and 2016, our country experienced the largest violent crime increase seen in the last 25 years. These aren't just numbers. Behind these statistics are real people, real victims.
Every single gun crime in a city like Baltimore and across the nation is tragic, but there are crimes when you have a victim who is as vulnerable as a 3-year-old girl, and it really illustrates how random the issue of violence is and how gun crime can really affect far more people in a neighborhood than just the drug gangs that are beefing it out.
To address this spike in violent crime and reduce future tragedies, in 2017, the Department of Justice reinvigorated, updated, and enhanced its Project Safe Neighborhoods initiative. Drawing from academic research and decades of experience, the program is based on the fundamental principle that law enforcement agencies and communities must work together to address violent crime to make their neighborhoods safer.
We feel it's our obligation as members of the community, as citizens of these United States, to make sure that everybody has a safe place to live and a safe place to work.
The officers aren't just out there to arrest people, they're out there to try to get involved and make the community safer. So, I try to push to the officers that if we're not a part of the community, you can't police the community.
This is what Project Safe Neighborhoods is all about. Project Safe Neighborhoods, or PSN, is an evidence-based violent crime reduction program that takes a collaborative approach to public safety. Independent academic research found that when PSN was first implemented, it successfully reduced violent crime by an average of 4 to 20%, with reductions as high as 42% in certain locations.
Under the PSN model, we partner with local communities to reduce crime. And across the country, they are making good on the PSN promise by working together to identify the most violent offenders, hold them accountable for their crimes, and prevent future violations through reentry and intervention initiatives. But our goal is not to maximize the number of criminal defendants. We don't measure success by filling up the prisons. Our objective is to minimize the number of crime victims. And there is clear evidence that we are succeeding.
Project Safe Neighborhoods is being implemented by every United States attorney across the country, but it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Each local PSN program is contoured to fit the specific violent crime problem in that district. While local programs may differ in terms of target areas and specific approaches, they all share the overarching PSN strategy, which is community-based, targeted, and comprehensive.
We really believe it takes the village to bring down the level of violence. So as we partner with law enforcement, we also partner with neighborhood associations, with churches, with schools, with the business community, with community groups, with Little League sports teams. Kind of look at a holistic approach as we try to tamp down the violence on the street.
Because law enforcement can't do it themselves. They have to do it with the community. You have to explain to the community what you're doing on reentry, intervention, prevention, employment, all those strategies, so that we're reducing the number of kids that could potentially get involved in the criminal justice system or in violent crime.
Project Safe Neighborhoods is also targeted, utilizing law enforcement and community intelligence, along with data-driven strategies and cutting-edge technology to identify and target the most violent offenders for enforcement action.
Innovations allow us to deploy new policing techniques that did not exist even a few years ago. Those innovations include crime gun intelligence centers, which combine the intelligence from gunshot detection systems, ballistics, gun tracing, and good old-fashioned police work to develop real-time leads about the traffickers and the trigger pullers who fuel violence in our communities.
What we do with our targeting initiatives is we identify who the worst of the worst are. We have an ideology wherein we fish with a spear and not a net. Particularly when you're talking about extremely challenged neighborhoods, mass arrest, dragnet type of operations doesn't generally give us the results of crime reduction that we want. But when we put the finite amount of resources that we have towards that alpha criminal group that is negatively defined in everyone's life, that's where we see the greatest return on our investment.
PSN marries targeted enforcement with prevention, reentry, and community engagement strategies to achieve lasting reductions in violent crime.
What my experience as a prosecutor for about 30 years tells me is that aggressive law enforcement can deter violent crime, particularly the type of work we're doing with Project Safe Neighborhoods. But enforcement can't get that done by itself. You have to involve non-law enforcement stakeholders.
Re-entry initiatives and programs are a key part of preventing violent crime and reducing violent crime ultimately, particularly because of folks who pay their debt to society will be coming out of the prison system and reincorporating into the larger society. And if we don't make sure that they have the support coming back into the community, there's a high likelihood that they're going to recidivate and we're going to be in the same cycle again. So it has to be a holistic approach, and you can't merely arrest or prosecute your way out of violent crime problems.
When we changed our tactics and we were more inclusive in working with the community, we saw enhanced levels of communication start to occur. We saw our gun seizures start to occur, and that wasn't because we were out just stopping everybody. It was because we were now being given the information of who was carrying the gun in the community, where they had just put it down, because we were interacting with the members of the public in moments that were not just solely predicated upon enforcement or crisis. And it's through that type of approach. It's through making a community safe from the inside out.
Working together through the Project Safe Neighborhoods program, we are building a safer and stronger America for all of us. For more information about PSN and how to find your local PSN program, visit the PSN website at justice.gov/PSN.